What's up again? I think I'm gonna just do this one last night. I want to just touch on this. Talking about who's the greatest NBA basketball player. And you can't compare eras, man. Come on now. Look, LeBron's a great freak of nature, but so is Shaquille O'Neal. So is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan. I can name guys that stood out. It's not fair to compare eras because I'm gonna tell you what ESPN and Skip and Shannon, Undisputed, all of them. First of all, if I'm gonna talk about it, I'm gonna be real about it, and I'm not gonna do like they do on TV. It's all subjective to whoever you think is the greatest. If you think Bill Russell's the greatest, he's the greatest. If Will Chamberlain's the greatest, he's the greatest. Kareem, Jordan, Magic Bird, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Oscar Robertson. If you think Kobe, if you think LeBron, if you think Steph Curry, somebody's gonna come along and think Kevin Durant. I mean, it's really subjective, and plus you can't compare eras and times because the game has changed just in the last decade. I mean, what Mike D'Antoni did with Phoenix isn't even the same what Steve Kerr's doing with Golden State because stretch four now omits even a big. So you look at Steph and Clay and Durant. Amari Stoudemire wasn't scoring like those guys. He scored, but he was scoring a low post. So you don't even do that anymore. You make the center obsolete. You get a guy like Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins, and they pretty freaky. But even look at their skill set, they're not even able to capitalize because they got to shoot the rock. So you got to have different components, and you got to have basically it's the two-man wagon now. So it's just not fair to compare and say who's the greatest NBA player over one. Jerry West is the logo, and he was just as clutch as anybody. But then you can throw Rick Barry in it. There's a lot of great players. I think there's probably about 12 to 15 guys that you could say is that one. But it's not fair to ever say this guy is better than that guy because you got to respect the eras. Now, that's one thing that I have a problem with because people like to say, well, in the 60s, but Russell, they only had like 7, 8 teams. They only had Will Chamberlain and all that. I said, no. Great players were great players. Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West. You could take them four, maybe Nate Thurman, some of those other cats, Sam Jones. You could take some of those cats, and they could still bang on your behind today. Different rules and formations. So you would be very surprised. So I wouldn't sit there and say, to downplay one era to up another to say that this isn't that because the rules have changed. Back in the day, you got hand check. You look at the bad boy Pistons teams. I don't think LeBron James is going to be bullying over and running over. It's a different era. You put some guys in today's game that could score, just purely score. Imagine what Jordan and Larry Bird would do with the way that you can just freak out score today. So there was no 3-point lines back in the day. So it's a different era. I can respect all of it. The only problem I don't have with today's game is the Euro stepping and the flopping and the acting and, the traveling, which is legalized. Because I said this to a buddy and I stand by it. I think the Dream Team winning in 92 was the best and the worst thing. One thing, it showed the dominance of the Dream Team, how great they were, but on the downside, it's almost like a pity party because in return, you got guys coming to play ball that the game is more world broad. It's more expanded into a way where, you get to shoot and be pretty. It's no banging no more. So they took the physicality out. So they really made it more of a star driven for the casual fan. So it's hurt the game, I think. And I think the game has definitely suffered from that. It's not physical no more. And trash talking on Twitter and having internet beef ain't the same like on the basketball court. So it's comical with what I see today. And I think the game has gotten softer. I've already said that. But at the same time, you've got great players. You got great talent. And you can't dispute any guy's era because it's just different. It's not fair to say that this guy, because, cats put in positions, they still have to go out there and ball and they have to play. So, Russell Westbrook reminds some people of an AI. He reminds you of Iverson. You got James Harden. You got guys, got skill set and some great players, but you don't have great teams. That's why the truth is, looking at Cleveland Golden State, it feels like the 60s because you only got like a less than a handful of teams that you can legitimately say, hey, they got a chance to get the chip. So, you're watching some greatness, incredibleness. And I have no problem with star-driven teams. I mean, if you go to, you go get the best that you can get. That's what you're supposed to do. Ain't that the American way? So what's the problem? So, but I don't want to I don't ever want to be talking about. It's different eras, different rules, different skill sets that are allowed to be manipulated by the commissioner. So unless you had like a form basketball where you had five, it's not even like that no more. So that's just my take. I don't subscribe that there's one great NBA player ever over anybody because you can make an argument. All right, peace.